Wait a minute. Max Vonker?
Yeah. He was a young man, very enterprising, with a young wife and a kid. I think he had another one before we knew him, after we knew him. And this guy, I can't remember how I met him, but I think he is the one who put me on to this Schloss Neuhaus as a possible rental.
And that was, you found that out through your office here?
No, I didn't find that out till I got there. This was right after this. I knew that already, I think.
When you went over?
Not when I went over, but after my trip there and our trip in '56. I think I knew it then as I knew. No, I met Max Vonker that year.
Where?
In Salzburg. And
where were you renting then, or were you passing through?
No, we were driving. Ann and Mother and I were just driving all over.
In what?
In what? In the
Carmen Ghia?
Carmen Ghia, yeah. And
where did you get the Carmen Ghia?
I picked up the Carmen Ghia.
Amsterdam, didn't you tell me?
No. I got my Austin Healey in Amsterdam.
Mm.
But I picked up the Carmen Ghia. Now, I didn't go up to the town it was made in, which was just north of Munich. How did it get to Munich? They must have delivered it to me in Munich.
A dealership.
The dealership owned by a guy I had as a counselor the previous summer at Robin Hood. I had 6 or 8 European counselors. One of them's father.
You told me that, yeah.
Owned this dealership in a town north of Munich, and I bought it through him, and it was delivered to me in Munich. That's right. When we went to get, you had to have an international driver's license, or it was advisable at any case. So Mother and I went and I applied for that, and when I finished understanding what it was I had to do and finished the application, I'm handing it to this young lady across a counter, Mother standing beside me. And this was determining when it would be ready for me to pick it up. Turned out it would be ready the next day. So I said, "What are your hours?" And she said, 6 to 6. She then said, "We Germans work hard." Mother put her hands on the table, leaned across, and she said, "We Americans work hard." So then we got the Carmen Ghia. Then it had those oval export plates on it, white with black lettering that you get from German export on a car. And we were driving the next day.
Have they ever changed?
Oh yeah, they changed a lot.
No, I know.
They changed a lot.
I just meant by their culture, that's all.
As a typical example of how little they changed was, one day I was in this Upim, which is a big department store in Munich. And I went and asked this middle-aged woman, she might have been in her 50s or late 40s or something. I asked her something. And she was sort of put me off. She didn't want to get into a conversation with me. I leaned across the counter and I said, "Where's your manager?" The color drained from her face.
Your famous line.
Yeah.
I've heard that a million
paralyzed. She
times.
couldn't even move. The thought of her being...
What did you ask her? Was it a men's room?
What?
What did you ask her?
For the manager, because he was disgruntled.
That's what I learned about the Germans. Probably about all European stuff, to a large degree, anyway. Anyway, what was I starting to tell you?
Oh, we were talking about, well, we got into the car McGee, and you were driving around Salzburg.
I'm parked.
For the rental of Schloss Neuhaus.
No, this was in Munich.
Right, but previous to that, I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think what we were doing was trying to figure out where were we going or something. With a map, probably.
The old Michelin map, I bet.
Michelin stuff, yes. And while I'm doing that, I see that there's a policeman. I'm at a light, four-way intersection, and diagonally across I see a police car, and I see this policeman leaning against the door, outside the door, leaning against it. And I see he's got a little bitty book, notebook in his hand. And he's flipping pages. And I've become very
Looking
paranoid.
for your license plate number, you mean?
Paranoid. So I'm saying to Ann, that guy is looking at us. Should we just drive out of here or just stay put? Look at the sheep is right.
Yeah. So continue. I'm listening.
So in another few minutes, he walks over to me, to the window, driver's window, and he asked for my papers. So I showed them to him, and he says, okay. And then he shows me his notebook.
And what's it say?
It's got long, very small print lists of license plate numbers. And on it, way down in one column, is one that's one digit off of mine. And boy, I was impressed to hear this guy. This guy was so thorough that he could remember, that it struck a note in him to look this up. And he pointed that out to me. And as much as said, that's who I thought you were.
That's what their culture's all about, is detail.
Oh, yes.
It's all about the detail.
Yes.
Nothing else. And that's why their products are so wonderful.
The Germans work hard. What'd you say?
She wants some cottage cheese.